Welcome to this tutorial on the windmill with me, Kenna. As usual, we'll be learning both directions. So we're going to start in the left hand doing a standard forwards weave, but instead of the hoop going from left to right, the hoop is going to go from front to back. Try and keep the hoop in your fingertips as you do this, because this will allow you to bring your hand all the way above your head. So you're bringing your hoop all the way to the top of your head and all the way back down again, and this allows you to get the feel of this and really get confident with it. So we're going to do a similar thing on the right hand, but this time we're going to be doing a backwards weave, which means the pinky is leading the movement. It's really important here to get the hoop really into your fingertips so that you're not using your thumb at all, because this will allow you to bring your hand above your head and bring it back down again. And if you imagine you're standing in a set of train tracks and you've got one track in front of you and one track behind you, you're aiming to put that hoop along those train tracks, so keeping that plane very flat. So now we're ready to try with two hoops. We're going to start with both hoops in front of us, with our palms facing towards us and our thumbs pointing inwards. You may find it possible to just swing both hoops over your shoulders and back to the start position, doing one rotation of the windmill. You can practice this a bit until you can get multiple rotations, but always coming back to that start point when you get a bit stuck. Alternatively, you could use the step-by-step method where you bring each hoop individually to the back, then each hoop individually to the front, and you repeat this until you feel confident with the move. So remember, you're starting thumbs facing each other. You then do a backwards weave with the right hand, bringing it up and over and landing at the back behind the right shoulder. You then do a forwards weave with the left hand, stopping at the back over the left shoulder. You'll then want to change the grip on your right hand so that your pinky can push upwards and continue the rest of the backwards weave, landing in the front. And then the left hoop follows, doing a forwards weave, and you return to that original thumbs pointing in towards each other position. And then we're just going to do that on repeat. Step 1, right hand goes to the back, doing a backwards weave. Step 2, left hand goes to the back, doing a forwards weave. Step 3, most important step, bring the pinky to the edge of the hoop and pull the hoop up and over. Make sure it's not going the other direction, because that will be your natural given it's going forwards. And then the fourth step is just to bring that left hand in the forwards weave down to the front. As you speed up, and in a normal windmill you will absolutely not need this little grip change on the third step, because there isn't any steps, it's just a continuous movement. But in the case of this, while we're getting the movement, please remember to do that little grip change and drag the hoop upwards. It's really going to help. Once you feel confident with this 4-step process, you can go back to this position in the front with the thumbs towards each other and trying to do one single spin and coming back to that position. So over, over, back, back, but in a smooth motion, and then maybe you could do 2 of them and come back, and just keep going until you feel confident. And in the end, you'll end up with this lovely continuous windmill. You can see from this side motion that I try and keep my elbows at the same height, and my elbows move forwards and backwards equally, but really it's my hands that are going really quite far, and they are passing both forwards and backwards at the same distance from my head. A really nice drill that I recommend everyone does, regardless of your experience with this move, is starting very, very high and then coming all the way very low. And for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm keeping it short, but you can stop at each point along the way and double check that you feel really confident in your windmill at all of these points. This is going to really, really help to clean it up and give you lots of freedom of movement. If you feel like your windmill looks a little bit wonky and you're not sure what's wrong, think about where your elbows are. If you can look in a mirror and double check that your elbows are in the same height line, then that's really going to help. End goal is to be able to have your arms straight and your wrists together. I'm a huge believer in learning everything both ways, so now we're going to learn the other direction. So this time we're going to be in the right hand and we're going to be doing a standard forwards weave. But make sure that instead of doing this forwards weave to the left and to the right as you would normally do, you're going to turn your body so the hoop is passing in front of you and behind. At the same time, you're going to start moving your hand up and down to just get used to the feeling of bringing the hoop all the way above your head. And then in the left hand, we're going to practice doing a backwards weave from front to back. Remembering that it's our standard backwards weave, you would normally be going from the left side to the right side, but actually in this case we want to turn our body to one side so that the hoop is passing in front and behind us. Keeping the hoop in the absolute fingertips is really going to help to make sure you stay in the right plane for this move. So we're going to start with both hoops in the hands with the thumbs pointing inward and the palms backward. The first hoop, which is the left hoop, is going to come up backwards and land behind your left shoulder. Then the right hoop is going to come up in a forwards weave and land behind the left shoulder. For the third step, you're going to need to do that slight change in the grip to bring the hoop up and over and back to the front. And then you're going to end bringing the right hoop to the front again. So starting with the hoops in front of you, thumbs pointing in, you start with step 1, a reverse weave to the back with the left hand, and then you do a forwards weave to the back on the right hand, and then it's this little grip change. So remember, you move so that your pinky is touching the hoop and push upwards with the pinky, so you're doing a pinky-led backwards weave to the front, and then you bring that right hand down to the front too. So once you're feeling confident with this, you keep going with your 4 steps, and eventually you're going to smooth it out and try and just get a few more spins, always coming back to that start position again. Eventually you'll end up being able to do it consistently. Make sure when you're doing this that you keep your elbows at the same height, and that's going to make it look much cleaner. And notice that my hands are going the same distance from my head in front and back, and that will keep the windmill upright. Once you feel you've got it, try starting really high and moving your hands all the way down low as you can. As with before, it doesn't matter whether your elbows are high or low, but try and keep them even on the same height and the move will still look good. Make sure you can go up and down, and then the final aim would be to have your arms straight up and your wrists together. A really common problem at the beginning is that the hoops travel at the same time, and this is not wrong, it's just a same time high reel instead of a split time, which is the windmill. So this is just a different trick. What you need to do to turn this into a windmill is change the speed on one of the hoops so that the other hoop can move to exactly the opposite position in the circle, and then you can start on the same speed again. For me, I tend to use the hoop that's going forwards, and I slow that hoop down and allow the other hoop to carry on and then carry on again. And partly this is because my forwards weave is better than my backwards weave. So that's it. I hope you got it on both sides, and I'm excited to see all your windmills.